Well, welcome everyone. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to review review minutes from last month that you may have just gotten in today's email, I believe, but...
minutes went yesterday, I think.
Minutes went yesterday. That's right. So we want to review our minutes from the May meeting. If you would take a moment to read, if you haven't already, if you have any questions or edits or corrections, please speak up. We'll take a minute just to do a quick review or a quick read if you can, and then we'll move forward, okay?
They were nice and concise, in my opinion, Leslie.
I have a really important correction.
Okay.
You spelled my last name wrong. Carlton has an E in it.
Well, and I will mention, Leslie, since you sent it to me in PDF, there's no way I can make any, corrections before maybe it goes out, which sometimes I've been known to do. So
yeah. So how do you want me to send it to you?
Well, we can
Word?
talk about it.
Word document?
I mean, Word if you're
Word?
doing it in Word, yeah.
Okay.
I did send my report out to
Can
everybody.
anyone hear?
Go ahead.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. This is Susan Kelly.
Welcome,
Hi.
Susan.
So did your video...
I'm having a difficult time, so I'm on my phone for audio and on video so you can see me.
Okay.
I see. Okay, that works. Yeah, right. Very good.
I just found myself in the lineup of participants. I have no idea why I can't get the video. I mean, I use Zoom and go to meeting all the time, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
No, we have the video. It's the audio we don't have.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm talking to you on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it. It's the only way I could make it work.
Okay. There were a few steps going in
So
there.
I'm here.
Appreciate it. With the exception of a misspelled name, does anybody have any comments, questions, edits on last month's meeting minutes?
Oh, I know. I did have one correction on the minutes that I think it's not hugely critical, but under transportation, where we were doing rides to essential services, medical, and SSCAC, so that's Social Community Action Council, had discontinued their ridership or their rides, except for one for us. So they have been continually doing a single individual twice a week home from dialysis. So I think that should be corrected. All trips but one for Scituate.
Okay.
Is what I might say. Just in the event anybody was actually looking at the minutes, that is a fact here.
Okay. I would like to approve these minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve with the couple of edits we discussed.
And is there a second? Is there a second out there?
Second the motion.
Thank you. So we may still see some latecomers here to join the meeting, but I'm going to hand it over to Linda for her director's report for the month of May.
Such as it is. So
It is.
hopefully you did receive it. I just realized, of course, by doing it this way, it's nice if you can follow along with me instead of just relying on what I'm saying. So it's a little, I hope not too scattered. We've certainly been working, it seems, as busily as ever. But it was fairly comfortable doing it remotely. Certainly the staff was speaking to each other on Zoom 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay,
but, still remote is remote and a little fragmented. So
got that right.
Yeah, so generally, I guess I would mention that in terms of information outlets and communication, because obviously that's what it's all about these days. We continue to rely on the town's Council on Aging website to really place information that at least was one place we could guarantee they could find something if they needed it. Whether it was just the outreach, COVID-related services or information, announcements, and then importantly, because it was nice if we didn't have to always rely on getting an email to a certain person or a voice broadcast to all of those people, because I have mentioned this before in my senior center, it's up to us. It's manually created. There's no automation really involved in who we want to send certain messages to, so that can be a little bit hard. But we also did still rely on broadcast calls. Let me just mention, for instance, the Memorial Day event I wanted to inform people about. I did a broadcast call, but I basically had to collect names for, let's say, 2 or 3 years worth of participants who had been active. I had to make a decision, and it went out to about 1,500 people, whereas our history class we send out to about 40 people. So that's a more specific list, a more contained list. Of course, we're doing a lot of emails, needless to say, some with just program information reminders, like the weekly history class, which we send out a YouTube link, in addition to the information about SCTV's cable broadcast, and then the same for our weekly discussion group, which has really been going well, I might add. It's been a lot of fun, something that I have participated in as well, somewhat as a moderator, but I've got a couple of the senior men in particular who do it. Lisa, however, usually sends out the email and the Zoom information. The men's breakfast has been on Zoom the last 2 months, and Patrick Carney did join us last time. He was happy to do that along with Katie Baxter, his assistant. And every week, Lisa has to send a new email with new Zoom links for each of the exercise instructors that are using that mode. As well as some other groups and programs. And then I have succeeded in sending out a few of the constant contact emails, which I think has been a helpful update or supplement for some things that we wanted to highlight. And it's hard to believe, but even though we did produce a newsletter for May and June, which was a little bit shorter, we now have to do it again for July and August, and again, not quite knowing what we will target, but more or less just continuing in the same vein, perhaps coming up with more ideas, creative ideas for trying to connect and provide some sort of interesting opportunities. I have been involved, as has Jill really, in helping me reconcile the budget funds, just trying to pay what should come out of each of those accounts for the town budget, just so we know if in fact we have anything left over, which would get turned back into the general fund, or if we've spent it all. We aren't over on anything, which is good. It has happened for utilities in the past, and it's not happening this year, so that's good. I did want to add, I added it on my report, but I just wanted to publicly acknowledge.
Is there a reason why? Because we had a mild winter?
Mild winter, I would say. I mean, electricity had been up previously.
You probably had, a lot less
But it
fuel.
was a mild winter. It just, I think maybe we managed it a little better. Okay. So, yep, the utilities is what was the issue. And even the trash had been a huge problem. And ironically, or unfortunately, I guess at this point, we'd finally succeeded in getting it reduced as of January 1, significantly reduced, the service for our dumpster. And now we reduced the amount of pickups, so now they're only picking up every other week because we hadn't been there and aren't really producing that much trash. But we're still paying the same, of course, and it's practically empty anyway. So that's unfortunate. formula grant funds, I am still trying to figure that out because I do seem to have, or it may be the case that I have a significant amount left over that I'm going to need to spend this month. Not to say that that should be a problem, but I had anticipated using some of those funds to pay instructors, exercise instructors. And then with this, of course, it's been a little funky, and now because at least 2 of them have been able to receive unemployment under the new guidelines for contract employees, which is good news for them. Now they haven't really wanted me to pay them, which I was planning to do out of those funds. So anyway, I didn't anticipate having that. Now, it could be that we use that for newsletter postage and don't take it out of the town mailing account, and then we'll be fine. But we're just trying to reconcile all those things right now by the end of June. I did want to acknowledge, I don't know if anyone's been up to Coles Parkway and the garden next to the harbor master's office, but a few of the seniors have been managing or maintaining that garden. They did it last year and they're doing it again this year as part of the Beautification Commission's Adopt a Garden. And they're very nicely managing the watering and the planting and the mulching. As representative of the seniors and the senior center, so I just wanted to acknowledge Miriam Polico, Pauline Souther, and Henry Ye, who you know well, for doing that. It's a beautiful garden, it looks great.
Nice.
I did show up for all of, half an hour to help them mulch, and they did most of the hard work. A lot of people stopped by and said thank you, which was very nice.
Great.
Okay. So moving on, then I have transportation, which we have continued with 2 of our 3 drivers working, at least Mary's in 2 days, Joe can be 2 days. They're still getting paid for their regular days anyway, but 2 supermarkets per week. Sometimes it's more than 1 trip because there's only 4, up to 4 on the van at a time to meet with the social distancing requirements. Of course, they do need to wear masks. So that has amounted to 80 rides for the month of May. And again, a ride is one way somewhere. For 18 clients. So many of them are people who do it for themselves, either maybe not each week, because we sort of discourage that, but enough so that they do enjoy their trips to the supermarkets anyway. Medical rides was 20, including that one person that gets a ride home from dialysis in Weymouth by Social Community Action Council. That's not our van, of course. And then actually the prescription pickups, I think Jenny and I have for the most part done those. In fact, that number could be a little greater. She might have done 1 or 2 that I didn't remember to add. But that was easy enough to do, and people were very appreciative. And CVS, I can't say enough about them, just in terms of helping the clients pay online, make sure that was all set. So really, when I walked in, I just had to pick it up and sign for it. It was all taken care of, so it was really nice. The vans are being well kept up during this time and cleaned, and safety precautions are all in place. PPE is available whether we received it from the town or from GATRA, or in some cases Kathy's been making masks and providing those as well. Kevin Kelly, our facilities director, who's been doing almost everything lately to protect everybody, is getting us one of those misters, I think, for the van. It's self-drying, so you don't even have to dry anything, so that's coming. And in fact, I did have Jenny accompany a client to an appointment that usually we don't do this, and we'd either try to find a volunteer if that exists, or sometimes they would have to use a private pay service to have a companion go with them if they're getting anesthesia. But she did go with this person because she could, and it was just something that we felt we should offer, so we did. So that was a little unusual. Outreach, which of course everything seems to be these days anyway, as much as we can. I don't know if anyone was able to see or at least knew about the Memorial Day piano concert that we provided on cable as well as through a YouTube link. So I had posted that on the Constant Contact email. We put it on the website. I made the broadcast call. You know what I mean? It was everywhere. but we showed it twice that weekend. And, you know, for those who did know about it, I got a lot of calls back. Some people watched it twice, and they really did love it. And he's great. He had come to the senior center, this 85-year-old man who is primarily self-taught, but really amazing. So if anyone watched the whole hour when he got to his Chopin, I mean, it was the real deal. It was fabulous. So otherwise, it was sort of patriotic and Irish sing-alongs. It was really uplifting, I thought, and it feels like a long time ago. But that was Memorial Day. Did anybody see it? Since I can ask you, did anybody here see it?
No.
Or hear it?
I saw it.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Very good.
Good. Thank you, John. All right. So we're still actually coming around to making a second round, so to speak, of just checking calls for some people. It's becoming less necessary, of course, but we figured it was still ongoing that we weren't seeing people, and it wouldn't hurt. And then in addition, this month, for the first time, we decided to do some birthday calls. So I hate to spoil the surprise if any of you have June birthdays, but you'll hear from one of us if you do. And it's been actually fun.
So,
And happy belated birthday, Linda.
Oh, thank you. See, I couldn't call myself, so.
why are checking calls less necessary?
Sorry?
Why are checking calls less necessary now?
Only because people are better able to get out. JD asked why the calls might be considered less necessary, which maybe they're not, but I'm just saying people are a little less isolated, potentially able to,
Okay.
you know, maybe get out for a walk and feeling a little less quarantined
Okay.
as we start to reemerge, is all I meant.
Okay.
But we are doing that. I know, I did call someone to say happy birthday who is in fact the same age as me, so I said, well, as surprised as you might be to hear from me, we're the same age. And the senior center is calling you. So we continue.
You're calling teenagers?
Thanks. Oh, God. We love him. So SANS, of course, SANS helps. Community Christmas is still on board, and we're still cooperating and collaborating with them. Primarily Jenny's in that role, whereas if entries are still being made for some assistance, then we would be contacted just to see if we want to take care of it first or whether we want to rely on one of their volunteers. But really, pretty much we have been able to do that. But it's been a great collaboration. It was a really amazing platform, and the group of volunteers, you can't say enough about them anyway. But face masks are still available. The requests have fallen off a bit, so they are considering maybe setting up some stations around town, whether they want to use the senior center or go to housing or do it somewhere else publicly. They could do that. They are thinking about doing that. I don't know who might have been reading Facebook, Scituate Council on Aging page during May, but I did do an exercise every morning, which was actually pretty nice for me. I enjoyed it, on a daily challenge, which was okay. I mean, I got some responses, not a lot, not maybe what I had hoped for, but I'll tell you what, thank you, Joan Powers, then we started to do the staff in June, and oh my God, people are coming out of the woodwork. So you are there. And maybe like hearing a little bit more about the staff and what they've been doing with a little bit more time at home. So that was the idea, just how are you sort of spending this, imposed time at home, quarantining, and just to get to know people a little better. But on that note, I would love to include some of the board members now, if anybody's interested in providing me with a picture and a blurb about, how you are spending your quarantine or had been spending your quarantine, or what you like to do in general when you do have a chance to be at home. So if I have any volunteers volunteering to do that, I would love that. I think people would enjoy that. So that's what we're trying to do, is just think up some other ideas that engage and connect with everybody on the outside there.
I think Kevin Carlson's birthday drive-by would be a good thing for the newsletter.
Did he already have it?
Sure.
Is that coming up?
No, it just passed in May, but it was a 70th, so.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Karen, for going by.
Aw. Hey, whoever, came up with the first sort of parade idea, that has been a really nice addition to these last couple months. Whether 7 or 70, I think that's beautiful. That's really nice. All right, newsletter for Kevin Carlton. All right, I need pictures, Pat.
Okay.
Or a picture, anyway.
Okay.
Send
it to you by email, not on Facebook, right?
Right. Yeah, you can send it to me on email.
Okay.
So moving on, I'm sorry, I'm just... Okay. Food assistance. This is definitely worth a mention, of course. So Social Elder Services did contact us, and there had been an opportunity to receive some USDA-provided box food through Social Elder Services, which we jumped on and said absolutely. So Jenny determined some clients that could use this amount of food. So basically, we picked up 20 boxes. Some got 2, one of each kind. But it was some very good, usable. It was frozen, but sausage patties and chicken sausage, some cheese, actual blocks of cheese, and chicken tenders. So we have the van go pick up the food, which was a little bit of a photo op for them. They had wanted to provide some pictures of everybody picking up the food from the Councils on Aging. Anyway, it was great, and they're doing it 3 more times through the year. So every couple of months they'll have another round
That's great.
available. We could do it for different clients or continue to provide it to the same clients if that's who it is. But
How do you identify where it's going to go?
just from our profile, our information that we have for clients. So, it wasn't something we announced for them to come to us. It was something that Jenny sort of determined, knowing what some clients have for benefits or needs. So in addition, of course, she still continued to refer people to the food pantry who need it and or to Meals on Wheels through Social Elder Services. No special issues with the Housing Authority. In the beginning, we were sort of helping them maybe to communicate with some people, but they've done a great job, and I think everybody's all set there. We did have, remember, our Kindness Rocks students who provided 140 rocks altogether to the 4 Housing Authority common rooms back in May, and then also we provided, I think, 40 to the Meals on Wheels programs on a given day, and they sent those out then. So that was a nice project for the students. Shine, not as many. For a while, people were still calling and needing Shine. That's fallen off a little bit, but he did help 2 people, and our attorneys helped 2 people, and our life insurance consultant helped 1 person. So people have been phoning in, and the volunteers, the professional volunteers we use, have called those people. I did include Jenny's numbers for 27 interactions with people, whether it was by phone or a social distanced meeting. Even today, for instance, she went and met somebody outside at the Housing Authority who needed to show her some paperwork that they didn't understand. So, it's fine, it happens. They're wearing masks and sitting outside. She has also been co-facilitating still the 50-plus Job Seekers Networking Group, which has restarted, thanks much to Susan Kelly on the line here, on a virtual platform. So using Zoom, they are still meeting. So they started again in April with 1 meeting, 2 in May, and 2 in June, anticipated. And they are getting 13 to 20 people on that platform for those meetings with guest speakers as well. So it's going well.
Doesn't sound like a bad number.
No, it's not. Oh, it's a good number, actually. So in terms of
A lot
our...
of people are on.
Yeah,
are looking
actually,
for
I
it.
might,
Yep.
So.
I
Susan?
might just add that, of the 17 locations, Scituate is, in the top 3 or 4 in terms of attendance overall for the year.
Wow.
So it still continues to be one of the strongest groups, and we're averaging like 17 or 18 people per
Right.
meeting.
Right, right. Very good, thank you, that's great to know.
Yeah.
And
No,
all,
it's been really good.
and all 17 locations have jumped on the Zoom meetings, right?
Yeah, and we also had in the month of May, I did, every Thursday was town hall day where we ran a, 100-person event. And I scheduled in guest speakers to talk about things like stress management during COVID,
Right.
how to communicate during COVID when you're operating remote. And we did financial wellness as well. We did a panel event. So those were extremely well attended. We had close to 100 people at each one of those town hall events, which was, again, on Zoom, separate and apart from our regular meetings.
But those invitations went out to all of the 50-plus job seekers participants for all the sites, so then they signed up to attend that extra meeting.
Yeah, and we actually had 100 new people that had never been to a 50-plus meeting. So we had people from all over the state who were in the 50-plus demographic attending.
Okay.
I will also mention to you that year to date, 15 people that have attended the program have landed jobs. So
Wow.
in Scituate, the Scituate group.
Nice.
That's a
Like
good,
almost
that's a good
200
report.
people.
Wow.
That's a good
Yeah,
report,
almost
Susan.
200 people have landed jobs, so that's pretty exciting.
It
That's
is
great.
exciting. Huh. Cool. Very good news. Okay.
Yeah.
I can move on to continue to talk about programming. So we've added, at least we succeeded in adding a couple of things. Elizabeth, our chair yoga people were really screaming for something. They didn't have anything yet until a few weeks ago. So Elizabeth started 3 Zoom classes using the senior center for her chair yoga and 1 floor yoga. Ann Schrader had been doing the floor yoga. Hers is a little more strenuous, so it was nice, I think, for some to get the gentler option back. And I will just say Elizabeth's chair yoga, first week, 13, 15 people. And these are the older demographics, so if they want it, this is on Zoom, and they're doing it. So Lisa certainly has helped people with the technical aspects of it as best we could. So that was nice. I did.
Hey, Linda.
Yes.
This is Janice. How does that attendance compare to when it's live?
No, that's pretty close to the number that would normally come live. So she'd been getting some high numbers before we had to close. She was maybe getting 16, 17 people, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
So more had more recently joined, and she's sort of seeing them all, I think, at this point now on Zoom. At least that first week she did. It's been a couple of other times. I'm not sure of the number. So that was great.
What is the program that Elizabeth does?
She does a floor yoga class at 8:30 in the morning and a chair yoga for an hour.
Okay, so she's the yoga person. Okay, I didn't know her name.
Sorry, she's one of the 2 yoga people. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
And
cool.
Ann is the other, and she has been doing an ongoing 3 times a week Zoom yoga class from her home for really any of her clients, including the senior center people. I will say the men take good advantage of that. They have been going. And she was doing it complimentary until June. She almost reluctantly really put out, because people were asking, they wanted to pay her something. So now she's accepting sort of discretionary donations or making a suggestion. And also because she had lost her son a couple of years ago, 50% of even that money is going to the scholarship fund for her son. So she's able to do that, and that was nice. We succeeded in getting 2 Tai Chi videos out and on TV and available through the website if they want to do that. So that was nice. I think some people are appreciative of that. Sue Ribeiro is the other exercise instructor. She does balance, which people have missed a great deal, and also had started a strength training. So now she's added something else and is doing 1 live Zoom class for us. So that's great. and Bob Jackman, who's also very popular with, quite a few of our people, has been continually, weekly, recording his PowerPoint presentation with narration and slides. Then it either goes to Seth directly, which he has to do like 3 different somersaults, or now I've been able to convert the file for them to video and then get it to Seth, who uploads it to YouTube to make that available for a short time, along with the cable airing, which is on Wednesdays. Anyway, it's been a great option, great relationship, and he only has 1 more week and then takes the summer off. So I think people are going to miss that. We're going to have to fill it with something, I think. And then, not to get into everything, you can read it too, but we've been continuing, of course, to offer all the videos and or live Zoom classes that we've been able to do. In addition to the men's breakfast, which I mentioned in the weekly coffee discussion group and the 50-plus group, the caregiver support group has been continuing to meet monthly, just once a month, on Zoom. And we have a new, since Laura Manier had left us last November, we have a new social worker who has been facilitating that for us, and she's great. She was doing the decluttering group prior, so we already knew her, and I pay her out of the formula grant, and I will continue to do that for now, since we also don't know when we will have another social worker on staff. So anyway, that's worked out very well. And the Parkinson's...
What is her name?
Her name is
What is her
Suzanne Otte, O-T-T-E. She's a Scituate resident.
Is there an open position for a replacement or not?
JD's asking if there's an open position for Laura Manier's position, and there has been, but once this hit, the COVID,
I think sort of stuff.
it was suspended, and under the circumstances, budget-wise, it's unclear whether they will pursue it, at least the same position, full-time position. So that remains to be seen, actually, a little bit. So I'm sure it will be in discussion. A couple of things to mention, just updating, and Janice Desmond might be interested here. We could provide the memory training via Zoom. I've got some new slides, PowerPoint slides, that sort of take that into consideration. So we could do that.
Okay.
Art for the Mind, we're talking with the woman that was the presenter, but really she's an on-site person, so we haven't been able to work out. And the good news is, once we can have her back and have people on site, the funds that we received from SEF are still there. So in other words, we can extend the use of those funds for whenever she's able to come back and we're able to have her, which I know people miss. It was great. We had to suspend another cultural program we were planning because that was grant funded, but we did receive a new grant from SEF that we can do. We can work with this. It was for a self-care retreat, which granted we would rather do, physically together, but at the same time, I knew when we wrote it that we could do it virtually if we had to, and maybe could be creative. So we'll come up with some ways to use that money, which primarily we had requested a little more than $2,000, I think maybe $2,200, was to pay the speakers and the instructors about each of the different modalities that we wanted to present, so people had a better idea of either whether it's acupuncture or Reiki or reflexology or meditation and some of the other more commonly known yogas and different things like that. So that's exciting.
Are you under a timeline on the calendar to use those FCF funds?
Technically, there is a timeline from July, more or less,
until
to
next June?
Next June,
Okay.
May or June.
And that hasn't been extended because of this?
Right.
Okay.
So we're just continuing to brainstorm. Any ideas anybody has for what we could start to try to implement while we don't open, which right now is to be determined. I can't give a date. The town administrator isn't going on record saying that it would be a particular time as yet, just knowing that it would be last. to be concerned with in terms of opening the senior center, especially under the circumstances because of the size. But we are planning a volunteer appreciation, which you should all receive an invitation to, of course. So it's really just going to be a little grab and go.
Maybe a drive-by?
A grab and go sort of momentary, enjoyable appreciation event. So we got the go-ahead to do it. We needed to do it in June before the end of the formula grant funds. So that is upcoming, so that will be, I hope, nice. And then, so moving on then to the senior center and recreation campus construction. That is ongoing. That is great. That is great. Going really well. And did everybody, could you see the pictures I put at the bottom of the report?
Yeah.
So I hope you
Yeah.
have those. Isn't that neat? So those pictures are from this week. So
Pretty exciting.
it is. It really is. It's amazing how fast the framing goes. And so let me just look over these. So the site work, of course, is continuing, which is a lot of,
It'll
what do they
continue
call it?
for the next couple months.
Grading,
Yeah.
and they just constantly do that, grading for paving. Interesting that they did mention they're doing, the binder paving, which is the under paving. So it's really the ground before you put the asphalt on. So they're planning to do that from the entrance, from First Parish Road, all the way, to the back of when you round the corner behind the B-wing. So that will be done and then paved in July. So that will be a fairly significant step. So that's what that binder means. Binder course paving goes underneath the asphalt for the parking lot. They won't be doing they are beginning the rec center parking lot next week, but that won't be paved at the same time as ours is. That will be a little later, I believe, on that. So you should even see the second floor added to the first floor framing by maybe beginning the end of next week, or in at least a couple of weeks they're starting that piece, so that will be fairly significant there too.
Cool.
So I will just mention,
Linda.
yep,
I was glad to see that the
the spring.
location for the trash pad might not move.
Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
Leslie.
Leslie.
Oh, okay. Well, that was much ado, really.
Yes.
Well, there was good reason. There was good reason to want to move it. It is far away, but as concerns were aired or options, alternatives were offered, and then we realized it was really only 30 feet closer than the old location and would have involved perhaps even expense added to the site work.
Yeah.
It was not worth it. So I guess that's what we've come down to, is that we need barrels on wheels. Or a golf cart. Anyway, we'll see. So the trash pad that I had mentioned we were discussing moving last meeting is now staying where it was originally planned, somewhat behind the B-wing, abutting the soccer field. And the only difference is we're not planning on using a dumpster. We are planning to go to just barrels, which will be emptied by DPW personnel and not a dumpster company, which has been a huge expense for us, as I mentioned earlier. And then lastly, I just thought I'd go over so you have some idea, the idea of the FFE, which we're starting, FF&E, the furnishings, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So we're going to, right now, just because it's the limited guest list, I guess, we're going to visit the Falmouth Senior Center, which isn't open yet, but it is complete, and it is the same architect as ours. So we thought we'd check out what they ended up doing for their furnishings, just to have a current idea. But also the week of the 22nd, we're going in, we are able to go into Red Thread, who is the design consultant that we're using along with the architects team, in National Furnishings showroom. So we'll be furnishing the offices, obviously the work areas. We'll be selecting seating and furnishings for the immediate lobby, which is a little bit of a waiting area. It does also look out on the green. Then the cafe lounge area is for a little bit longer seating, potentially, where the fireplace will go. So there'll be a seating area, some tables, sort of cafe style. And then also moving into the small little library, that'll be for quieter seating, maybe more individual seating. Then there's the multi-purpose room, which of course will contain dining tables, which we're planning on round. The size might be still up for discussion, and what we would plan for a number around the table. That could be, I want to say, still
Number of seats around the table?
number of seats around the table.
8?
Well, at first we thought 8 was too many, even though that was traditional,
Yeah.
and maybe we'd go to 6. But just because now, if people aren't, they don't want to be so tightly placed around the table, we may just discuss that, or just not put as many seats around the
Right.
table. The program rooms will be also somewhat versatile, but the conference/classroom tables and seating. But you want to be able to change those configurations all the time, depending on what the activity is. And then the small conference rooms, that's another one that's been somewhat debatable, whether sort of permanent conference style furniture or adaptable, versatile, like the program rooms. Because maybe we do want to put a bridge game or something in the small conference room upstairs. Then you don't want it to be a conference table that you can't move. So that's just another question we have. Lastly, the game room, and then the fitness classroom, of course, in the small cardio area, that will contain a few machines. So that's the excitement there, but it is beginning, and I'm looking forward to that. So we have a PVC meeting next week, Tuesday night.
Okay.
It will be virtual. So that's all I have, I believe, and that always is longer than I anticipate. So sorry about that. For our liaisons, go right ahead. Do you want to, Karen?
June 16th, you think we have a meeting?
I do.
Okay.
Is Karen Canfield still with us?
Yep, I'm here. I just had mute and I was just talking away.
I hate that. Okay.
I do that all the time.
All right, good.
A few things I want. Sorry?
Nope.
What's going on with the BOS?
Nothing. Boring. Nothing going on. A couple things. I just want to say, Linda, you probably didn't know you're going to learn so much about construction, did you?
I know. It is fun. It's very interesting. Words I've never heard of.
It is interesting, and thank you. I know it's a lot of detail, so thanks for doing that. And the newsletters are great. We love seeing those.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're finding new tools that we're going to take into the after, so that's good. A couple things I just wanted to let everyone know. Our COVID numbers are tracking like the state. Everything looks good. Unfortunately, where it's not so good is just the continued numbers at the nursing homes, which I'm sure you've all heard about, and it's it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Just that community is just getting hit so hard.
Yeah.
But our town is working really closely with the state to try to give them as many resources as we can. Town Hall is going to start opening up next week. It will be, all the employees will be coming back, and it will be by appointment only. So the employees will be there, but if you need town business, you just have to let people know, because it's not going to be, doors flung open. Unfortunately, I think you probably heard that the town administrator's thought is the very last thing that's going to open to the public is council on aging. Between the physical space and between the population, you're going to be virtual for a while. So he made that clear, which I totally support, obviously. So you may have heard big news on the phase 2 rollout of opening, sort of slowly opening things up. On Tuesday, I don't even know, what day is today? Okay, Tuesday. On Tuesday night, the board approved 9 applications for outdoor premises for restaurants, because restaurants can only serve outdoors, and where we are right now, one of those applications requires us closing Front Street for a period of time. So that will likely start on Saturday, and it will be Thursday, Friday, 4 to 8, Saturday, 4 to 10, and Sundays, I'm doing this from memory, so don't hold me to it, Sundays, 1 to 8, I think it is.
Wow.
So what do they do? In other words, you're going to shut down Front Street and so that all the restaurants can actually use the sidewalks and...
Exactly. So right now,
Wow, that's great.
yeah, only one restaurant has actually asked for that. So, and we know the others are putting their plans together and will end up being. So the first section will just be from Dr. Price's to Otis, and the galley will be on the street. And then we know that some of the restaurants in the next section are putting together their plans. So my guess is very shortly we'll be looking at the whole thing. Otis will be through all the way, and then the stores can do sidewalk sales, so you don't have to go in the store.
Oh.
So,
So it's almost going to be like a miniature mini Heritage Day.
yeah, except that the middle of the street will be empty, so you can walk without being right next to everybody.
That is nice.
That's awesome.
There's not gonna
What a
be
great idea.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and you know, there's
awesome.
a lot of detail going into it, and the police and fire chiefs have been really great about just figuring out how we can help people. So that starts hopefully this Saturday, and then, you know, we don't know how long it'll last, because as soon as we move through phases, they won't need outdoor seating.
Right.
But we'll see. We're trying new things, which is fun.
Great, that's
we're also
awesome.
Sorry?
No, I think it's awesome to support our local restaurants and shops.
Yeah, so the other restaurant, it's not all the harbor, so Oro, Rivershed, The Voyage, Barker, and then the rest are downtown, have all figured out a way to have outdoor seating.
Good.
So that's pretty cool.
Does Sloop still run?
Sorry?
The Sloop, does it still run?
The sloop, yes.
The Sloop, I think, is still running, yeah.
They've
I mean,
been,
I'm just thinking there might not be enough parking. So could it go from the T parking lot down to the harbor back and forth?
Oh, the only parking that'll be gone is on Front Street. Cole Parkway won't be affected, and we'll put up signs so that you go back around to Cole Parkway.
yeah.
So it's not at all like Heritage Days where there's
Yeah, there's going to be reservations required, and it's going to be
That's a
minimal.
good
Yeah.
point. We'll have to make sure they know how to. Yeah, you have to have a reservation to dine.
Yeah.
And what time does the Sloop end now?
They end right now closer to 3 o'clock. I mean, it's just that they've been running on a reduced schedule. So.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to overlap much. So you all know elections on Saturday.
Yep.
Reduced poll hours, if you haven't voted absentee, are 9 to 2 at the high school. And the town moderator has scheduled a town meeting, guess this, on June 27th at 9 a.m., I think it's 9 a.m.,
Yep.
at the athletic field at the high school. An outdoor town meeting.
Outdoor meeting, yep.
So that'll be exciting, but it's gonna be a very abbreviated meeting. We're gonna try to put as much as we can off to the next meeting, and then do everything we have to do in a consent agenda to try to keep it as short as possible. We're gonna have shortcut budget, which is obviously gonna be dramatically impacted by everything that's happened. But that's the BOS update. Any questions?
Yeah, Karen, this is Leslie. Is the town meeting going to be standing only?
No.
You're going to have to
they
stand in
figured
the
out-
field?
Pardon me?
You're going to have to stand in the field?
No, good idea. That would make it go fast, but no. They figured out.
True.
They're gonna somehow segregate the stands.
Okay.
So, you can sit with your family, but they're gonna be like, somehow they're gonna figure out to tape 6 feet apart, so that. Yeah, and I think they figured out we could do, and then you'll have the option, you can stand if you want, like, just like a game, I think they figured out it's like can accommodate 400 very easily. And we haven't had 400 at a town meeting in a very long
In a while,
time.
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Very nice. Thank you, Karen.
Anybody else
That
have
was
any
great.
questions while we've got her for Karen?
With the South Shore LD services,
You're on, Joan.
I'm sorry, I
the
didn't
South
hear
Shore,
that.
I think Joan's just
South
ready
Shore
to.
LD services.
Joan, you can make your report if you're ready. Yep.
I just want to say the South Shore LD services delivered free 10-pound boxes of food to participate in both senior adults.
Right.
And Scituate was included in that.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then I also want to say that we're continuing with Meals on Wheels. Everything's going good.
Good.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Good numbers. You still driving, Joan? Are you still delivering?
It's about the same. We have like 45, and then we have 10 people to pick up.
Okay.
So the lunch bunch comes
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they pick up
Right.
their meals.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody have any questions for Joan?
That's it.
Okay.
Um,
I'm not sure if anybody else is on from Foss, or I don't think so. So
So going back, Karen, I guess I do have one question if we have a minute. Well, we probably only have a minute. I don't know what the guidelines have now become about like use of the tennis courts and or pickleball courts, which is the question I'm being asked right now. I don't know if it can be organized or it can still only be sort of casual. Do you know that? Was that discussed at all yet?
Well, I think everyone should Google the fourth town official that had to explain tennis court rules and try to say tennis balls without getting weird.
I know.
So yeah, so all of the like minutia details
Yeah.
are on mass.gov.
Yeah.
And they can go to anything. So I know Maura Glancy has been working very, very carefully on what programs can happen, what can't. The tennis courts, I believe, are open. The rules are, basically play with your family.
Okay.
Don't touch somebody else's tennis balls.
Casual and not organized. Yeah, you can't do it in a game
Right.
format.
And so, but outdoor like youth sports,
Yeah.
you can have drills. So you can get 9 kids and a coach together.
Yeah.
And do drills. You can't have games. So, I think we're going to move pretty quickly through the phases,
Yeah.
but it's obviously going to impact everything.
Well, actually, our softball league is planning to do something. They've got, a very long list of guidelines and precautions and,
Yep.
regulations that they're going to follow, but they are planning to play. Some don't want to do it under those circumstances, but some will.
Right. I mean, they can't have more than 10 at this point. You probably can't for another couple of weeks. And they can only do drills. They have to bring their own equipment. They have to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So for every single thing you can imagine, there's a whole set of rules.
yeah.
But it's
Now we
okay.
know where our tax dollars are going. All the people that made the rules.
Oh yeah, they were getting paid anyway.
Right. Well, along the lines of openings.
But I'll tell you, I will tell you as an aside. So some of you know, I actually work for a state rep, and plus our town stuff.
Yeah.
There is nobody not earning their paycheck right now.
So true. So true. Absolutely.
So much work.
Absolutely. I
We
agree.
did get the first payment into the town of Scituate from the CARES Act
Nice.
today,
Wow.
which is
Oh,
great.
wow.
Yeah, so the way you do it is you spend the money and then you hope they reimburse you.
Yeah.
And today they gave us a bag of money, so that was good.
Right.
Um,
I will tag on Karen just to say that lifeguards will be manning the beaches as of Monday, so the beaches will be open.
I guess they will. And everybody's been pretty good, except for our 16-year-olds. Everyone's
Yeah.
been really good about minding the rules.
Yeah.
Because I think we all know it's like we don't want to screw it up because then we have to close the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No, it's been good.
Does anyone have any other issues, business, et cetera? We're up against our time here because we've got to vacate for another meeting group coming in.
Yeah.
Everybody okay?
I move, yeah, to the meeting.
Well, thank you.
Second the motion.
Wait a
All right,
second.
Janet, thanks.
Thank you all for coming. Stay well, be well. We'll hopefully see you face to face sometime soon, but it might not be next
See
month.
all your faces, but thanks. Thanks for being here.
I know.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. It's almost over. Hopefully.
Almost.